This episode is brought to you by Microsoft Azure. Turn your ideas into reality with an Azure free account. Get everything you need to develop apps across cloud and hybrid environments, scale workloads, create cloud-connected mobile experiences, and so much more. Discover what you can create with popular services free for 12 months. Learn more at azure.com. That's AZURE.com. And sign up for a free account to start building in the cloud today.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AEye Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AEye Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AEye Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello, welcome to AEye Scouted on Anfield Index Pro. I'm Dave Hedrick, joined as always by Mr. Karl Matchett. How are you, sir?
Solid 7 out of 10, but that's TBD with the 2 or 3 days left to determine my mood for probably the next 4 months.
Yes, we are rapidly approaching the end of the transfer window, and today is going to be a transfer-related podcast. But before we get to that, Karl, very quickly, Liverpool have released their third kit for this season. It is a very nice kit, but it has brought some controversy, with the Nike swoosh appearing upright on the kit, which is just a little weird and I don't like it.
They've given the reasons why. Don't really have any. I don't care. That's my honest opinion. I don't care, Dave. I'm not going to give reasons why it's okay or not okay. It's a brand. It's not Liverpool. They haven't put their liver bird upside down. I don't really give a shit. They've explained the reasons why. It's, paying quite a lot of, in theory or in marketing, whichever way you prefer to look at it, tributes to women's football, which I think is important and necessary to do one way or another. Whether or not we agree with it being this way is up to the individual. Ultimately, it's Nike. I don't give a shit. It's their last kit with Liverpool. They're not with us for next season, and they're not Liverpool anyway.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Adidas looking almost certain to take over from next season, which will hopefully lead to some really nice retro kits. Because Arsenal have had some absolute belters in recent years. Right, let's get on to transfer stuffs, Karl. So, Giorgi Mamardashvili had his medical yesterday. All went well. Hasn't been confirmed yet, but we did have Romano say that all documents were being signed earlier today. So that is our first signing of the summer, and it is being completed on the 27th of August. We've talked about him before. I think we're both happy with the signing, especially at the price. There's no downside to it. Either he becomes our number one in a couple of years and we've got a great number one to carry on from Alisson, or he becomes a very valuable, very sellable asset that we could potentially make a big bag of money off.
Yes, either of those two things, and my preference is he becomes our number one. I love Mamardashvili. I think he's brilliant. We've spoken about him for probably 3 years now, something like that, as gradually progressing and going from like a sought-after young player and really good reaction player and generally becoming one of the La Liga's better goalkeepers, and then basically over the last year or so being probably inside the top, maybe 10, would we say, 12 goalkeepers around Europe's top leagues. I would say that was probably around where he was. Obviously had an outstanding Euros. Really good to see him in action there. I think the biggest thing of all, though, around this is like for years and years and years, we've all wondered where the missing inches off Jordan Pickford's arms are, but now we know. They're on Giorgi Mamardashvili's arms.
Yeah. Yeah, many years ago, a team of secret agents from Georgia broke into a house in Sunderland, harvested about 7 inches off each arm of a young baby, and then brought them back to Georgia and kept them in storage, waiting for the chosen one to be born, and then they were attached to his arms. And his name is Giorgi Mamardashvili. I would say he is the best under-23 goalkeeper on the planet right now. I think he's very, very good. He's like a cross between Oblak with his shot stopping and his reflexes. He's not quite Oblak level reflexes, but who is? And he's got that kind of Thibaut Courtois type stature. And I really like that. I like having a dominant goalkeeper. We've had that with Alisson. He's never going to be Alisson with his feet, but he did come through a Dynamo Tbilisi academy that does preach playing out from the back. So I do think there's more to his game with his feet than what we see for both his club side Valencia, who play a fairly reductive brand of football. I'm not sure if people are aware, but Ruben Baraja, when you translate that into English from Spanish, it's Tony Pulis is actually what it means. He doesn't get the opportunity to play out from the back there. Same with Georgia. They don't really play out from the back either. They don't have the players to do so. But there's times where he does look up and ping a nice pass out to his wing-backs or his full-backs, or even a wide midfielder that show promise. Playing through the middle, I'm not sure is something he wants to prick about with too much, but he's definitely better with his feet than people give him credit for, and he's unbelievable at the goalkeeping side of it. As a shot stopper, as an organizer, dominating his box, he is as good as it gets in those regards. So yeah, very, very happy with that one. My best friend, Fabrizio Romano, who brought joy to all our lives last summer when he broke the news about Henderson going to Al Ettifaq, brought joy to our lives again then yesterday, Karl, with a story that Liverpool had inquired about Federico Chiesa. Now, that was then followed up with a clear briefing to the local press, James Pearce, Paul Joyce, Lewis Steele, etc., that, yes, we were looking at a deal for Chiesa. Now, Romano has it pinned on his Twitter page, and he generally only does that if something is advanced, and he's very confident it's going to happen. So he's obviously getting briefed by the agents. That's where 99% of his information comes from. But I know people have some concerns because of the injuries. But if you really look at it, 26 years of age, I know he turns 27 soon, but he's 26 until he's 27. That's how it works. Don't have me pull up the screenshot of the Twitter conversation that became famous a few years back. He is 26 years of age. He's an Italian international. He's coming off a good season. He didn't have many injury issues last year. He played in 37 of 43 games. The season before, yes, he had a bunch of games that he missed. He was working his way back off an ACL tear the previous season. I don't have as many injury concerns about him as some people do. Is he the same player he was pre-ACL? No. But he was good last year. And there is the possibility that he gets even better this year. And maybe even better the following year. And while he may never become the player we thought he'd become because of the knee, there's still a very high possibility he becomes 85 to 90% of that player. So while he might not become a £100 million player, like he looked like he would be, there's a good chance he still comes out to be a really, really good player. He plays both sides. He can also play centrally. He works like a dog. He's an elite ball carrier. He's a good creator, a very good crosser, and he strikes the ball well. Karl, for £12 million, I'm not sure you're getting better than Federico Chiesa, but what's your view on a potential deal for him?
I think price and salary is everything on a deal like this. Because if you speak to pretty much any Liverpool supporters, the main positions, priorities, things that we needed to strengthen this summer, forward wouldn't really be among them. Everyone would like a new forward, but that was mostly on the assumption that someone would leave or the expectation Diaz was going or whatever. If Salah didn't sign his contract and was sold, something like that. So I don't think anyone would say a sixth forward is absolutely imperative. But on the other hand, if you're given the opportunity to do this, it's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. If it comes through the medical fine, you absolutely do the job. Like, get it in, get him done. He offers versatility in terms of his positions that he can take up, yes, but also versatility in terms of the approach that he gives us, the type of build-up play that he offers, the areas of the pitch that he takes up to collect the ball in as well can be very, very different to what we've got at the minute. I mean, personally, I can never have too many ball carriers who are really, really aggressive in my team, and at his best, that's what he can do. You know, he might not have the absolute acceleration over the first 5 yards anymore that he did before, but he's still pretty quick. He's very, very strong. He's, like I say, really, really good ball carrier, moves into spaces really well. He can play right the way across that line. And it's quite important to remember now, if we're going more and more a sort of 2-3-1 shape, whether or not that's like all the time or off the ball, on the ball, whatever, when we're attacking, when we're in build-up phases, we do have that shape. He can play 4 positions there. You don't therefore need just 6 players. You need multiple, at least 7 players who can play that. If you're going to include Harvey Elliott, then we still need another one there, really. So I'm absolutely fine with it. Like I say, 12 million it's not really a risk. Let's be honest. We're selling young players who have played 4 or a dozen games for that amount of money for the first team. We will absolutely get that much money if we need to sell Chiesa with 2 years left on his deal or 3 years. The other thing is, this thing about him being 26, 27 years old when we're signing him, it's still predicated on this thing that, like, people think he's only got like 3 years left because he's 3 years away from 30.
Exactly.
He has his next birthday. That's just not a thing anymore. Like, he will be the player he is, obviously pending other injuries and all the rest of it, until he's like at least 31, if not 32, 33. Like, without a question, the style of player he is. The fitness levels obviously is an ongoing thing. All professionals have to maintain and blah, blah, blah. But the kind of player he is, you've got for a minimum of 4 seasons from right at this point. And then you might have a slightly lower or slightly different type of player if he adapts, and positional play and all the rest of it comes into factor as he gets older. But like until 31, 32 at a minimum.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, we're looking at Mo, who's 32, and look at the shape he's in. Who's to say that Chiesa doesn't come in, become really close with Mo, who speaks Italian? If I'm not mistaken, they were at Fiorentina together.
Yeah.
So there might be some existing friendship or relationship there. So what if he becomes Mo's new gym buddy and gets himself into that same... Like, he's already in great shape, let's not pretend otherwise. But if he starts to dedicate himself to the level that Mo does, there's no reason he can't get a prolonged peak. And like you say, in a 4-2-3-1, he can play all 4 forward positions. So if Szoboszlai is not available, but you still want a power runner from that position, you can play Chiesa. And he will work like a dog. He's not going to be shy if he's asked to go and play that role, even though it's more of a midfield role. He won't care. This guy played as a wing-back and in central midfield for Fiorentina. So he will play wherever he's asked to play, and he'll do a job there. And he'll offer something positive from that position. And if you line it up, right wing, Mo, no real backup. 10, Szoboszlai and Elliott. Left, Gakpo and Diaz. 9, Jota and Darwin. So we had 7 for 4 positions. His primary position through his career has been off the right. He's played more games there than anywhere else. So he does fit in as the backup to Mo. He does give you that ability to run in behind the way Mo does. He's got really good hold-up play the way Mo does. He's a creative player like Mo. I know he only had 3 assists last year. Go and look at the chances he created last season. It is a scandal that he didn't have 7, 8, 9, even 10 assists just in the league last season. Max Allegri's players should have been ashamed of themselves. And Max Allegri, like, to play the way he did in a Max Allegri team was impressive because, I mean, that's anti-football. I'm not saying he's going to come in and be a superstar. I'm not saying he's going to come in and he's the Salah replacement. But as a backup, I mean, it's a really good get if he's 80% of the player he was pre-injury. And last season he was close to 80% of the player he was pre-injury. Most of the stuff was there. That explosive first 5 yards wasn't. But when he got up to speed, like he was running away from defenders, he still got brilliant feet. He still got a great awareness. He can cut back and cross with both feet, shoot with both feet. Like, there's no downside here. And as you said, we could buy him for basically what we sold Bobby Clark for. Bobby Clark, who wasn't going to play for us this year. We might sell Ben Doak for a similar fee, who isn't going to play for us this year. Now, I know the wages will be much higher, but he's also a much better player than either of them. If either of them get to the level he's at now, that'll be seen as a great success, let alone what he can still become. So I just don't see any downside. I think it's a really good move. Obviously, look, wages, he's on big money at Juve. My guess is he'll take less to join us, but it'll be incentive-based, so he can make it up. But if it doesn't work out, we won't lose money on him. Like, we won't lose money on him. You could sell him to Saudi in 12 months and probably make a profit. So,
and apart from beyond what Chiesa can or can't be, he also gives Liverpool insurance. And, you know, people want us to be challenging for trophies and that. Then having someone who doesn't cross the absolute earth but is already established international, played at the highest level, all the rest of it, I don't really see the reluctance or the going against the grain. Either you think that these people who are now in charge of the transfer organisation at the club are the very best of the best of the best, and if they sign people, they're going to be great for us, or you don't. You can't pick and choose just because you suddenly think there's, you know, something in your mind that you've seen that's not of the something that they've missed out or that they're overlooking or that they're getting it wrong for some weird reason. Like, I know we should probably primarily see him as an alternative to Salah because right side is where he came through. I had a quick look there, by the way. He came through at Fiorentina the year after Salah was there, so they wouldn't have played together, even though Chiesa...
But he would have been in the academy, so...
Yeah, he was at the academy. But I compared him not to Salah, because one, that would be unfair, and two, stupid, but to Diaz, actually, of last season, just in terms of league play, because I think if people were offered the chance to sign Diaz for 12 million, they would.
Yeah.
And even though Diaz last season was probably lower than what we'd have expected or wanted from him, and certainly lower than performance levels compared to the previous campaign, numbers-wise, not an awful lot between them, to be perfectly honest. Like, in league goals, 9 for Chiesa, 8 for Diaz. Obviously, there was lots of competitions and stuff there, but just on a per 90 basis, shots, almost exactly the same, 3.1 and 3.2. Shots on target was very marginal difference as well, 1.1, 1.09. Like, they're very, very similar in terms of getting into the box. A few more touches per game for Diaz than Chiesa would have had in the opposition penalty area, but again, Liverpool much more dominant, Liverpool much more high pressure and possession, so on and so forth. Chances created, pretty close on that as well. Chiesa actually slightly edging Diaz in that regard. Crossing accuracy and so on and so forth. Everything is like really, really closely overlapped, and in most cases, when there's a tiny gap between them, it's actually on Chiesa's side. Dribbles, I'd say, would be the only thing where Diaz beats him like fairly comfortably. 1.4 successful dribbles last season to 2.3 in favour of Diaz. But everything else, even like defensively, there's not a huge amount between them.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. Ha. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked, and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes and games consoles. Visit libertyshield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
And that's Diaz playing in a very attacking Liverpool team and Chiesa playing in a Max Allegri Juventus team that were god-awful to watch. So that can scale up in a team that has more of the ball and more ambition about itself. The thing is, I've seen all summer people crying out for a winger, but because it's not the winger they wanted or because he's not 19, 20, they're unhappy about this. But like I would look at him and I would look at, say, Anthony Gordon, and I'd ask the question, what does Gordon do better than Chiesa? Is he a better dribbler? No. Is he a better passer? No. Is he a better crosser? No. Might be about even, but he's not better. And Chiesa can do it off both feet. Is he a better goal scorer? No. Like, what is he better at? He might be a bit quicker, but Chiesa's not slow. And Chiesa's more versatile, and he's more malleable to play in a different type of system. Gordon was playing last year in a team set up to play to his strengths on the counter. Chiesa was playing in a team that was completely against his strengths. So I would rather spend 12 million on Federico Chiesa at 26 than 85 million on Anthony Gordon even at 23, because I know Chiesa can do what he did last year, season after season after season, because we saw it pre-injury. We don't know that Anthony Gordon can replicate what he did last season. We haven't seen it. He's been garbage in the 2 Newcastle games so far. I know he scored at the weekend. He was atrocious. He was awful against Southampton. Now, they had 10 men, but they were playing entirely on the counter and he had no impact on the game. So I would rather go with the cheap gamble on a more proven player than the very, very expensive gamble on the fellow that's had one decent season. I think it makes sense for us to go and get Chiesa. I don't see a downside to it.
Yeah, that's exactly my feeling here. Like 2 years ago would have given, 3 years ago, let's say pre-injury, would have given a lot, including selling people to get Chiesa. He was on track to be one of the very best, and I absolutely loved his style. Now,
there was real conversations had in 2021 of should we sell Sadio to buy Federico Chiesa? And they were largely leaning towards yes, because Sadio was showing signs of drop-off in that 2021 season.
But this is, like you say, the bigger question or answer here is there's no downside to this. Like, Gordon is a minimum of 5 times more expensive if you're comparing those two. This is a far, far lower risk with a potential just as high or even higher upside.
Yeah. Yeah, even if he doesn't become the player he was going to be pre-injury, he can absolutely become as good or better than Anthony Gordon will become in the next 3 years. Maybe beyond that it's different, but who cares? Like, that's too far down the line to be considering now. A couple of other names been floated around for Liverpool. I just want to check your temperature on some of these. So Joe Gomez looks like he will leave. Crystal Palace in talks at the moment for Joe. If he were to leave, I think we would then need 2 defenders to come in. But just as a straight Joe Gomez replacement, would you take Gertruda from Feyenoord? I believe he has 1 year left on his contract, so could potentially be a deal that can be done at about the 20 million mark, whereas we're looking to get somewhere in the 35 to 40 range for Joe. So basically, would you take Gertrude and 15 to 20 million for Joe Gomez?
Yes, in theory, although I'd be less keen on it just because I don't always enjoy when managers come into a new club and bring people in straight away.
No, neither do
I very rarely see that work, to be perfectly honest.
That's the thing. Like, look at United.
Well, yeah, they're a good example. Chelsea right now are another example. You go everywhere, even Liverpool, Brendan Rodgers and whoever else. It doesn't matter. I would personally not be inclined to, but also a big part of that for myself is because I've very rarely seen him play centre-back. I know he can do, but I've never seen it really. I've seen him play right back and probably hold in midfield a few times, but I don't know that I've seen him play centre-back too much.
Yeah, see, this is the thing. I mean, he has predominantly played as a right back for Arne. In that role, he often inverted into midfield. He's often started as a holding midfielder. He did come through the academy as a centre-back, but was shifted quite quickly. So he is a bit of an unknown at centre-back. He's also not the size that we would normally look for in a centre-back. I think he's 6'1". This season, he has played 3 of his 4 games at centre-back, so maybe that's something that's going to happen a bit more. 1 year left in his contract. So if we look at his career, he has played as a right back 148 times, as a centre back 99 times. And look, the current manager will be the best judge of can he play centre back for him because he had him for 3 years. He's played a fair bit in holding midfield, so he would cover all of that Joe can cover. And we know we need a left footer anyway, so we don't need the left back aspect covered by Joe. We need someone to come in ideally and be starting there. Be that Lukeba, whose name is going around. The Branthwaite rumours continue to go, and there seems to be a bit of, again, it's probably just Chinese whispers, but from people who are in and around the city, there does seem to be a weird vibe that there might be something there, that there might be a buyout clause in his contract and he might be open to it. But I don't expect anything to come from it rather. But if we got Gertrude and, say, Lukeba, and with Joe leaving, I think we'd be in really good shape at the back. I'd be very happy with that group of defenders.
I think it would still require an awful lot of staying fit from Konate just in terms of continuity there. Like, we've seen what happens when defences get chopped and changed and you don't really get a chance to bed in one person at a time or any partnerships to develop, that kind of thing. So I don't doubt that we need a new face in there as part of this sort of general changing process anyway. But I think 2 this summer and probably another 1 at least next summer is going to be quite a big turnover actually. So maybe 1 now, 1 in January even, that would be a slightly better way around to do it. But first we wait and see, because I suspect Gomez to Palace is obviously hinging a lot on what we want fee-wise and if Gay does indeed go in the end.
And probably on us getting someone in as well, because I don't think we'll let him go if we haven't got something lined up. I'll be curious to see what happens with Palace, because obviously Anderson has just left. Are they going to lose 2 starting centre-backs? And if they do and they only bring in Joe, they've only got 3 centre-backs then to play a back 3. Which
Palace
is
quite close to Lacroix.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, that's true, actually. So he comes in as the Anderson replacement and Gomez as the Gueye replacement. That does make more sense. To be fair, Gomez, Lacroix and Chadi Riyad as a back 3 with Chris Richards able to cover for them all. I think haven't they got Rob Holding as well, I think? So he can play the middle roles with semi-competent level. Holding midfield, there's a few names buzzing about. Now, these I think would all be sort of short-term fixes. Bring them in, maybe they start for a year, and then maybe next year you find the starter you want and they become a good squad player. So would you take any of the following? Maxence Kakare.
Oh, sorry, individually, I thought there was going to be a list.
No,
What did I
sorry,
say?
I'll give you them individually. Maxence Kakara is the first one.
How much?
That I don't know. Lyon have been trying to sell him for a few years and haven't found a buyer. He hasn't developed at all over the last couple of years and still very much riding on the potential he showed as a younger player. He's not really a six at all and doesn't really play as a six. He plays largely in a double pivot and largely with someone else who does the real dog work. I look at him as more of a Thiago than anything, like a Thiago, a poor man's Thiago than a six.
Yeah, I was going to say I see him much more as Alexis, basically, current setup. So, to be honest, no. But if there was like a loan deal to be done with one of the Italian options to buy style deal, then I'd consider it, and then we just sort of let him go back at the end of the year.
Yeah, I'd love us to be mean like the Italian clubs can be. I don't think you're the biggest fan of this player, but would you take Locatelli for a year as the six and then he becomes more of a rotation midfield option?
I'm not sure why you think I didn't like Locatelli, actually. I do quite like Locatelli. I don't think he's what we're looking for. I'm not massively against it, but I don't honestly know where he would fit in afterwards if he's not the first choice, because I suspect he'd be reasonably expensive as well.
I think 30 million. Well, actually, I saw Spurs linked to him for 25 million by an Italian outlet. And it was the price that got me more thinking that might be okay. Because you could afford to bring him in, even if he becomes a backup. Let's say he becomes the backup to Alexis in year 2 or the backup 6, and you just have him for a year as a backup, and then maybe he wants to go. You'd probably still make your money back off him because I think he's 26. So at 28, you'd probably still get a decent fee for him.
If we were absolutely told we couldn't sign the player we wanted until next summer for the 6, but we were guaranteed to get him next summer, then I'd consider this.
Locatelli has 4 years left on his deal, but Juve are buying Coop Miners. They've bought Dougie Luiz and they've got Kefren Turam in. I wonder if they do a loan. And then that would solve the what do you do with him after problem.
Mm.
So that might be something that they can look at if they are talking to them about Chiesa. The final name, this guy isn't a 6, but has played there a significant amount through his career. He's someone we both championed the idea of signing a few years ago. He had great Euros with Spain. Would you take Fabian Ruiz for that role for a year and then have him become a rotation midfield player?
I would take Ruiz, yes. I don't think that this would be a good use of him necessarily, but it might be a better option than Liverpool have at the minute, if you get what I mean. I don't think this would get like more than 70-75% out of Ruiz. How much are you giving me for him, or how much am I giving you for him, more to the point?
25, 30? Similar fee to Mikel Moreno's gone for. He's the same age. I think he's a better player than Moreno.
He's a much better player than Moreno, to be honest. Moreno,
yeah.
Yeah, I would for 30, yes.
Yeah. Guy is saying a French outlet is linking us to a young centre-back from Nantes, Nathan Zeze, who's actually very, very promising. 6'3", quick, good on the ball, left-footed, pretty strong in the air. Needs to fill out a bit, which, he's 19. That is absolutely standard. Yeah, Get French Football reporting that half an hour ago. So, I mean, he's not ready-made, which will be a bit of a disappointment for me. But because he's not going to walk in and start at left-back, which is what I want the left-footed defender to do. But I do think he's one that has quite a high upside. Aerial win rate, it's only 60%, which is a little bit low for Liverpool. A little bit on the low side for what we like at centre-back.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.